Tonight's big stories. She wasn't homeschooled after all. Senator Gatchalian shows up to today's hearing with papers showing that Alice Guo attended the same school as him at one point.
Also at today's hearing, PAGCOR confirms that former Duterte spokesman Harry Roque was the legal head of the raided Pogo hub in Porac, Pampanga. We'll get more details from PAGCOR Chairman Al Tenco later on in the show.
And Gilas Pilipinas is back home after their memorable run at the FIBA Olympic qualifying tournament in Riga, Latvia. We'll take a look back and analyze Gilas's campaign with head coach Tim Cone later in the show.
Good evening. Welcome to the show. I'm Regina Lay.
I'm Gretchen Ho.
And I'm Shawn Yao.
Maybe there was never a teacher Rubilin after all, nor a farm. To say that today's Senate hearing was eventful is kind of understating it.
It was long?
It was long. Today's 5-hour-long Senate hearing on Pogo showed that's some of the things that we learned from today's 5-hour-long Senate hearing on Pogos and of Alice Guo's role in all of it.
Senator Gatchalian brought documents showing Guo Huaping studied at Grace Christian High School, the senator's alma mater, in fact, from grades 1 to 3. Gatchalian also showed an alien certificate of registration indicating Guo's mother is Lin Wenyi and not a certain Amelia Leal Guo as she claimed.
But for the second time, Mayor Guo snubbed the Senate hearing, prompting Senator Risa Ontiveros to cite her in contempt. Mayan Los Baños has the big story tonight.
Turns out, maybe there was no teacher Rubilin after all. At today's Senate hearing on Pogos, Senator Gatchalian presented copies of suspended Mayor Alice Guo's alleged school records, which, if proven to be true, would mean she lied about being homeschooled. What was more surprising was that Guo supposedly went to the same school as Gatchalian, Grace Christian High School in Quezon City.
Nag-aral ho talaga ho siya. No? And nung natatandaan ko, sa school ho namin walang farm ho doon. Puro building ho. And ito yung kanyang school records. Next will be the, in-attach ho kasi pag nag-enroll ka, meron kang mga i-attach mo yung alien certificate of registration mo.
This alien certificate of registration indicated Guo Huaping and not Alice Leal Guo, adding to a growing list of evidence that the embattled Tarlac Town mayor is not who she says she is. But as widely expected, Guo was again a no-show at today's hearing. Her legal team said she was physically and mentally unfit to attend the hearing. This did not sit well with the senators.
Sinaito niya yung dahilan na she's not mentally fit, Madam Chair. Sa akin lang, nakakahiya naman po dun sa mga tunay na may mental health condition. I would just like to reiterate, Madam Chair, na seryosong usapin ang mental health at hindi po ito dapat ginagamit na dahilan para magsinungaling.
Guo has now been cited in contempt along with 7 others, including her alleged siblings. They were issued subpoenas and just like Guo, they opted to skip the inquiry. With this, an arrest warrant for Guo and the 7 others could be out soon. Senator Risa Ontiveros said she will write to Senate President Jesus Codero to work on the arrest orders. Once arrest warrants are out, the Bureau of Immigration will be compelled to issue whole departure orders to prevent them from leaving the country. The Bureau said that so far there has been no record yet of Alice Guo leaving the country. Guo's camp has now filed a petition for certiorari at the Supreme Court, seeking to scrap the subpoena issued against her and to prevent the Senate from forcing her to attend future hearings. At today's hearing, the spotlight also turned to Porac Mayor Jaime Capil after it was found that the CIDG Pampanga team had already flagged the illegal activities happening in Lucky South 99 even before the raids conducted.
Hindi po nakarating sa akin yung sulat. Kung nakarating lamang po sa akin, di po namin na-actionan yan.
As early as 2021, meron na hong red flag. Hindi nyo lang ho nabasa. Lahat ng pinapadala yung dokumento sa amin, lahat ho yan afterthought na lang kasi nangyari na eh. Ginagawa nyo na lang ng justification yung hindi nyo ginawang trabaho.
The hearing also took another turn when the name Michael Yang came up. He was linked to one of the incorporators of Pogo service provider Brick Hearts. Recall that Yang was previously implicated in the family scandal, which was investigated by the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee. The Senate hearings on Pogos continue in the days to come. For News 5, Mean Los Baños, we are One News.
And again, the interesting bit of detail there, in case it wasn't captured in Senator Gatchalian's thought, was that grades 1 to 3 from 2000 and 2003 is what his documents showed, is when Guo went to Grace Christian.
He also added that, you know, as time passes and of course this whole hearing, this whole issue has been in the headlines, a lot of people are actually volunteering information, which is how he stumbled upon this Grace Christian one.
Maybe we'll know what happened after grade 3. Somebody volunteers another piece of information.
But the point is she wasn't homeschooled and she lied about that point.
Yes. If indeed that she is Guo Huaping, as her fingerprints.
As far as the Senate is concerned, they are one and the same person. Alice
Baka di
Guo
naalala
and
yung grades
Guo
1 to
Huaping.
3. Naalala ko naman yung grades 1 to 3. So,
Tsaka hello, kung grades 1 to 3 siya, yun nga yung pinupoint out ko is that, Alice Guo was born in 1986, but Guo Huaping was born in 1990. Either way, she'd be overage for grade 1. Parang 10 years old
I don't know.
siya.
I'm just wondering, is teacher Rubelin even real at this point?
Well, the jury's still out on that. But, you know, as you have said, a lot of bombs or bombshells were dropped at that hearing. And there was another one, in fact, at today's hearing. PAGCOR Chief Al Tenco revealed that it was former presidential spokesperson Harry Roque who was lawyering for the raided Pogo operator Lucky South 99. Chairman Tenco presented a copy of Lucky South 99's organization chart, which designated Roque as its legal head. Tenco said Roque went to his office in July of last year for help settling the unpaid arrears of the firm. In total, Roque contacted PAGCOR about 5 times, though he never pressured the PAGCOR officials.
5 times po siya tumawag. Nagtatanong lang naman po siya kung ano po yung mga lacking documents na kailangan pang i-comply. Then sinendan ko po siya ng listahan kung ano ba po yung kailangan nilang i-comply at nag-reply po siya doon ng salamat. Noong May 14, 2024 po, in-inform ko po siya ng decision po namin na i-deny yung application ng Lucky South because nakakita na po talaga kami ng reason para po hindi na po talaga sila bigyan ng lisensya at that time.
On record, wala namang hindi siya nagsabi na dapat bigyan nyo ng permit, walang ganung demand.
As for me, ma'am, wala po talaga. Lagi lang po siyang please or thank you, ganun lang naman po.
Sa akin din po,
Yes,
ganun,
Chair
Senator
Tenco.
Binay. Hindi po siya naman namamwersa, nakikiusap po siya. At very light po naman ang mga conversation namin.
Roque quickly responded with a video message posted on social media, denying that he is the legal head of Lucky South. Roque does represent Whirlwind Corporation, though, the firm that leased its property to Lucky South. He insists that he only extended help to Lucky South out of goodwill.
Pero malinaw po nung panahon ng pagmi-meeting namin ng July 2023, hindi po illegal ang Lucky South. Kaya hindi po pwede na ako'y naglabi sa isang illegal na Pogo. Para naman po maging ebidensya ang organizational chart na yan sa aking pagiging legal counsel sa Lucky Star, dapat nyo naman pakita na number 1, na ako'y may kinalaman doon sa pagsumite ng organizational chart na yan. O di naman kaya ako'y pumayag na ilagay ang pangalan ko dyan. Gaya ng sinabi ko po sa media, hindi ko po alam kung bakit nandyan ang pangalan ko.
Still, Senator Risa Ontiveros, who has been leading this investigation, says it's proof that Roque lied.
Ito'y hindi naman usapin lang ng irregularity, pero truthfulness. Kasi sinasabi niya sa publiko, sa pamamagitan ninyo, sa media, na abogado lang daw siya ng Whirlwind, yung may-ari ng lupa. Pero mismong ang organizational chart ng Lucky South 99 at mismong yung pakikipagpulong niya kay PAGCOR Chair Tenco ay bilang abogado ng Lucky South 99.
Pero he can do that po as a private practitioner.
And if he knew that he could do that, bakit siya nagsinungaling?
Michael Yang, aside from being mentioned at today's Senate hearing on Pogos, believe it or not, was also being investigated at the same time at the lower house. Yang was once the economic advisor of former President Rodrigo Duterte. Today, the House Committee on Dangerous Drugs was looking into the multi-billion peso shabu haul seized in Mexico, in Pampanga, and in Subic Bay on different occasions. Yang was implicated because lawmakers discovered that Empire 999, which owned the warehouse where the drugs were being seized, listed as a co-owner a certain Lincoln Ong. And if you may recall, Ong and Yang were investigated by the Senate Blue Ribbon in 2022 over the Farmally scandal. And indeed, Senator Hontiveros believes the Tarlac Pogo issue may be connected to Farmally.
Yung naikonekta o naiko-connecta namin ang dating Farmally investigation dito sa kasalukuyang investigasyon laban sa mga Pogo is not necessarily a new matter about the Farmally scam, pero mukhang Farmally group ito, same cast of characters. Kaya napakahalagang we get to the root of it dahil mukhang itong grupong ito, itong Farmally group, ay posibleng nandun nga sa roots ng problema natin sa Pogo. Tingnan natin saan tayo dadali ng ebidensya kung this time around makokonekta yung dotted lines hanggang kay Duterte.
Because he has repeatedly snubbed the hearings, Yang has now also been cited in contempt by the House Committee on Dangerous Drugs. But lawmakers say, based on records, it seems Yang left Manila for Dubai last May 12.
Here to talk to us more about today's hearing, we have with us on the show PAGCOR Chair and CEO Al Tenco. I believe that's right, he joins us on the line. Chair Tenco, thanks for taking time out for us. I understand you're at a wedding, at an event.
Nasa isang event lang po. I don't know, who am I speaking to?
Tumakas ka lang. You're speaking to Regina, Gretchen, and Shawn.
Magandang gabi, Regina, Gretchen, and Shawn.
Good evening, Chairman.
Right.
Good evening.
So first things first, you attended today's hearing, but before that, you made headlines for saying that there was a former high-ranking cabinet official that was lobbying for Pogos. And then today, you started mentioning former spokesperson Harry Roque. Can I just confirm that this is the same former high-level cabinet official under Duterte that you were referring to that was lobbying for Pogos?
Yes, I can confirm that. We know that as a presidential spokesperson, he was a high-ranking cabinet official.
But
So
you did clarify.
Were you only referring to Roque? Were there any other former cabinet officials that you were referring to?
No, I was not referring to anyone else except Secretary Roque. Because I personally met him when we thought that he would see me.
Right. Chairman Tenco, I did listen to the entire 5-hour hearing. And you were there the entire time as well. I'll just clarify because you were very clear earlier that when Harry Roque approached you for that meeting, that was July of last year. He was no longer in the position of being the palace spokesperson. You and your colleague also from PAGCOR did clarify that he was not pressuring you. Just to be clear about that.
Yes, I would like to be clear. In fact, I had manifested with the Senate hearing this morning that former Secretary Roque did not pressure me or my colleague to issue a license to the company he was helping.
You're also quite clear about your stance on Pogos. You did say that you are in favor of a heavier regulation opposed to a total ban, which some officials have put forth. May I ask Chairman Tenco, where does the President stand on this issue? Is he more inclined to regulate them a lot more strictly, or is he inclined to ban them completely?
I don't want to. Honestly, I I don't want to preempt whatever decision he will be making. However, what I know is that he, together with his staff, they're already studying what decision should be made
Okay,
regarding the matter.
Chair, you mentioned that this former cabinet official, which you have confirmed that is former presidential spokesperson Harry Roque, lobbied for some illegal pogos, meaning hindi lang po isa, meron pa po bang...
Hindi ko po sinabing some. Ang sabi ko lang po, ang totoo po, maybe I was also misquoted or whatever, but very clear in this morning, I narrated what truly transpired.
Okay.
And what the mood of the conversation was.
The defense
That's
of
official po.
the defense of the former spokesperson is that he was actually representing Whirlwind Corporation and he was just helping out Lucky South 99. There is no official retaining relationship between him and Lucky South 99. Apart from an organizational chart, do you have other pieces of evidence that you can use to confirm that he is legal counsel of Lucky South 99?
Ma'am, as was shown in the draft of the organizational chart of the company, this was attached to the reapplication for the renewal of their license or the application for the renewal of their license. Yun po nakalagay. And that was submitted to PAGCOR, and apparently the Senate committee has also copies of it. So I honestly do not know because we're banking on two stories. But officially, nandun po sa organizational chart, yung buong pangalan niya, Harry Roque, hindi naman, I don't, at nakalagay po doon, legal, yun po yung back. So, doon lang po siguro nagmumula yung kwentuhan yun. Ngayon, sa PAGCOR po, very clear when the application for the renewal of their license was submitted, that was also part of the attachment in the documents that were submitted by the applicant company.
Nung nagpresenta siya sa inyo, Chairman Tenko, no, na makipag-meet nga para makipag-usap nung July last year, ano po yung, kumbaga, ginamit niyang title or assignation? Did he say, ako yung legal representative?
Wala po.
Okay.
Natanong din po kanina yun. He just said, I am here to help a client.
Oh,
Okay.
you referred to
At
as
ito'y
client.
naloko. I narrated everything. Naloko daw ng certain Mr. Dennis Conan, ganyan-ganyan. O nakinig po tayo. At as I said, he did not pressure, nor did he pressure even my colleague.
But when he went to see you in July 2023, he was with that client who was Cassandra Lee Ong, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
What else do you know about Cassandra Lee Ong and what was she like?
Well, she mentioned that she was 18 then, so I suppose around 19, and then today she's about 23. I mean, she's a young woman who claims she is the one representing because she would not be there if she was not maybe representing either the principal or she was a principal herself, no? So I didn't have to ask her what she narrated, and the mere fact that she said that I'm going to pay, I've authorized payment, and it's ongoing right now. And when I checked, it really happened na nakapagbayad po sila ng 203,000 out of the more or less 500,000 na utang nila. Sa akin po, nakita ko, by businesswoman. She never mentioned about 45 buildings. She never mentioned about thousands of whatever.
As far as you know, was Cassandra Lee Ong Filipino? Marunong siya mag-Tagalog?
Marunong po mag-Tagalog.
So she was speaking to you in Tagalog?
English, Tagalog po.
Okay. But the fact that she was very young, in your 20s, as you said, never raised any red flags, never raised any alarm bells?
Honestly, hindi na po. But as we were going through the documents, we had already certain inklings na hindi dapat pagbigyan. And that is the reason why we did not renew the license.
What were the issues that
doon
you
po,
saw?
nakita na namin. May mga common shareholder, marami po eh. May marami pong makikita.
Pero at
May
that point,
inconsistent. Yes,
right.
ma'am.
Pero at that point, Chairman, nung nakipag $1,000
Dollars.
At that,
Dollars.
And to ask about the new regulation and to file for an application
Right.
for a renewal of their license.
and this is only for Lucky South 99, wala nang iba pang other outfits.
Wala po. Lucky South lang po.
That's actually why I was asking about the age, because it's a bit curious that a young person would be handling such a huge amount of money, right? $500,000 arrears pa lang yon. We are not talking about the total value of the pogos that she was handling. So I was just wondering if you had thought to question her further when she showed up at your office with Harry Roque.
I will be honest with you. I didn't think in that manner.
Okay. Chairman, you also said in the hearing today that PAGCOR will not be allowing pogo hubs anymore. What do you mean by that? What does that include? Pag sinabing pogo hub?
Ang ibig sabihin po ng hub ay it's a compound. You can apply to become a pogo hub operator, and that will mean that you will have a big property, and that property you will build multiple buildings that can house operators.
Okay, Chairman, apart from... Right, go ahead.
So, ang amin pong pinag-aralan na, we will not allow na, we will take out of the classification yung pong hub. Hindi na po kami mag-i-issue at hindi na po kami mag-i-issue ng bagong lisensya sa mga hub.
Okay. That's starting now?
Oh, yes. We have not. Actually, we have not since I assumed office. But I want to make it official by deleting it in the possible licenses that they will apply for.
Okay, bukod
So
dun sa...
what will happen to all the existing hubs that are legal naman, that have papers? You're gonna force them to...
Wala po. Iisa na lang po ang hub, ma'am. Hindi po what happens to many. Iisa na lang po. Because may mga nasara na po kaming hub. So, ang natitira na lang po ay isa na lamang. So, all they will have to do is be site-specific. O, Building A. O, yun na, may lisensya, Building A. O, yung Building B, bakante. Kasi po pag hub, bakante o hindi, may lisensya po yan. Pwedeng may nangyayari na dyan na hindi nyo nakikita.
Chairman, matanong ko lang, no, bukod sa pagbabawal sa mga pogo hubs and limiting them to like specific structures in terms of yung real estate na i-occupy nila, ano pa po yung mga nakikita ninyong mga pagbabago? We understand na marami na kayong binago in terms of rules and regulations and compliance ng mga pogos para lang makakuha ng lisensya. Pero moving forward, since ang dami pa ring lumilitaw no, na kung ano-ano because of this series of hearings, are you looking at making more changes down the line?
Oh yeah, I had mentioned earlier, number one, we beef up our number of persons, but we intend to now put PAGCO representatives or assign PAGCO representatives 24/7 to this license company.
Okay. Right, Chair,
Number two, bawal na yung gated na mga hub-hub. Kailangan ngayon, like a building, yes, you can have an access. Number three, isa pong pagkukulang ng PAGCOR ay we were not coordinating with the respective provincial government. Kasi po, ang requirement is a municipal or a city law, no? Ngayon po, because meron palang kamukha ng province of Tarlac, last year pa po pala sila yung nakapag-ban na ng Pogo, hindi po namin din alam yon. Meron naman pong lono sa bank na binigay sa amin, or binigay doon sa nakarang administrasyon, binigyan nila ng lisensya yon. Ngayon po, nakita namin may pagkukulang kami, we will now have to require both the nod of the municipal or city government and that of the provincial government.
Okay. Ibig sabihin po, yung magkakaroon po ng gaps in communication, tama po ba? Sabi rin
Yes,
po,
maliwanag po yun. And I would say isa po sa pagkukulang, isang weakness po namin yun. And I commit to correct that weakness of ours.
All right. Chairman, as regulator and enforcer, you have a huge responsibility when it comes to this problem. Because we are conducting the hearings in aid of legislation, what changes would you like to see? What help would you like to receive in terms of being able to crack down on this more effectively? Dahil medyo delikado po,
Opo.
ang nababanggit po ng mga nag-iimbestiga dito, yung safety po nila ay nako-compromise. Paano po kaya mapapabuti at mapapatindi?
Ang sabi ko nga po talaga, malaki po ang magiging responsibilidad ng ating law enforcement agency. Dahil knowing that meron pong mga illegal na nakakalat, talagang dapat po puspusan nilang hanapin yung mga yan para mahulit mahinto na. As I mentioned, out of the 298, we only approved the 46, of which 3 are suspended at the moment, so 43 na lang. So may 250 pong dating may lisensya na ngayon ay wala na o illegal na nakakalat sa buong Pilipinas.
Okay, pag sinabi po natin,
Sigurado po ako doon.
pag sinabi po nating law enforcement agency, sino po yung pinaka-inaasahan ng PAGCOR?
Well, nandiyan na po ang kombinasyon ng Philippine National Police, nandiyan na po ang tumutulong din po ang segment kuminsan ng ISAP, tumutulong po ang NBI, tumutulong po ang CIDG. So in short, kailangan po talaga sama-samang makapag-coordinate. Yun ang palakasin para may exchange of information.
Speaking of information, would you have more information on the gas vent incinerators found? Kung saan daw po ay reportedly nakikremate daw po yung mga employees. Tama po ba yun?
I heard the same thing, but I have not read nor seen an official report. I do not want to comment on the matter.
All right.
Okay, fair enough. Well, thank you so much for taking the time out of your event to join us tonight and to clarify certain things that cropped up earlier today in the Senate hearing. PAGCOR Chairman and CEO Al Tenco on the line. Thank you.
Well, up next, the Gilas men are back after that memorable FIBA Olympic qualifying tournament stint. After the break, we will be speaking with head coach Tim Cohn about their recent performance and what's next for the team. Don't miss that. Keep it here on One News. Welcome back. You're still watching the big story here on One News.
Gilas Pilipinas is back in the Philippines after their momentous campaign at the FIBA Olympic qualifying tournament in Riga, Latvia. The Gilas men arrived in the country just past midnight, where they were greeted by fans and the media at the NAIA. In their FIBA OQT run, Gilas defeated world number 6 Latvia and secured a semifinal berth after their close defeat to Brazil. However, the Philippines saw its dream run come to an end after being ousted by Brazil in the knockout semis. Losing big man Kai Soto to a rib injury was a major setback for the national team. But the good news is that the 7'3" big man is set to make a full recovery. Gilas's next target is the upcoming FIBA Asia Cup qualifiers in November, where they will face New Zealand and Hong Kong.
Joining us
You're right.
now to talk about Gilas's incredible run in the FIBA Olympic qualifying tournament, we have tonight Coach Tim Cone himself. Good evening, Coach. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Been an honor. Been a tough trip, but back safe, and now we're finally ready to talk about it. I guess we were kind of ignoring all the texts and stuff during the tournament, but now it's time to talk.
Oh, wow, we're so honored.
Thanks
You're
for
talking
having
to
me.
us first.
I know. Coach, I just want to go through some of the highlights that your team has achieved in the recent performance, winning against Latvia, world number 6, losing by 2 to Georgia, world number 23. You led by 6 against Brazil at the half. They were the eventual winners of this tournament. And I know you kind of hate being, just being happy with some highlights. You really wanted to win this one. But I just want to know where you're at right now.
Well, I'm incredibly disappointed. I'm disappointed for the players. I'm disappointed for the country. It's funny. We went there with. I'm not sure what our expectations were. We really wanted to just prove that we could play with the European teams, and we knew we'd done well in the Asian games. We know we could handle Asian teams, but the next step up for us was to play against the European teams and see if we could step up against them, and we did. And then once we did, once we beat Latvia and competed against Georgia, the game we could have won. We could have put it into overtime and won, but we didn't on purpose so that we can make sure that we got to the semifinals. But after that, we really wanted to win the tournament. We really felt that we had a chance to win the tournament. So losing to Brazil at the end was very disappointing for all of us. Shattered all of our dreams, and that's always tough. But as I told the players, this really isn't the end. The ending at this particular tournament was bad, but it's not really the end. It's a really good beginning for us as we continue this quest over the next 4 years to the World Cup.
As Gretchen mentioned, Coach, in the game against Brazil, we were all at the edge of our seats. The Gilas men, your men were leading up until the half. What happened there after you came from the break? After you came back from the break?
Well, honestly, I think we're just a little worn down. I think that there's a lot. There's so many hindsights. There's so many coulda, woulda, shoulda. You look back on it, and at the time, we felt comfortable leading them by 6 points, but we also said at halftime that we had made a lot of tough shots, and Brazil had missed a lot of open shots. And if we didn't change that in the second half, they were going to take us apart. And it turned out to be prophetic. Hitting their shots, we continued to take tough shots and miss them. There's so many what ifs. What if Kai hadn't have been injured? What if we had Scotty and AJ Edu and Jamie Malonzo with us? Those things always go through your minds. But the bottom line was, I felt at halftime, Junmar was really, really worn down already at halftime. You remember it was his third game in 4 days, and he was playing. They were rotating 2 6'11" guys, big, strong guys against him, and really physically up with him. And I think we just got out physical in the second half. And we look back on it, and you think, okay, we could have done this, we could have done that, we could have gone to a smaller lineup. So many things we could have done. And the problem in this tournament is that you don't have a second chance. And that's one of the things we talked about. You got to do it right the first time. In the PBA, in the pro leagues, you play a series. You have a best of 3, a best of 5, a best of 7. So it doesn't work out that night. Unless it's game 7, you got another shot at it. But in this tournament, you don't. You got to be at your best every night. And we just had a really, really bad quarter where we just kind of all panicked together, me included, and we saw it slip away, and we can just never recover.
Okay, Coach Tim, you didn't have a lot of guys, like you mentioned, a lot of injured ones not being able to play. Then we lost Kai after the Georgia game. Moving forward, are you looking to deepen the pool just to ensure, rotation, sufficient rotation in case of any untoward accidents or injuries?
Well, first of all, with Kai getting injured, there's no one who can step in for Kai. I mean, he's our only 7'3". So if he goes out of a tournament, we're toast already. So it's not, if there were a lot of 7-foot players to choose from, then we would do that, but we don't have that choice. I came into this whole program with the idea that I'm with the understanding that I'm coaching stars. These guys are superstars in their own leagues, whether it be Japan, Korea, here in the PBA, in the college leagues. They are the stars of that league. And I decided from the very beginning that I didn't want to come into here and cut players. So I didn't want to get a huge pool and cut players. There's a second reason for that is that we don't have a long preparation time for each tournament. That was our agreement with the leagues. If we're going to get these players, then we have to shorten our preparation. If we want long preparation, these players will not be available to us. So, and if you have a big pool, you need a longer preparation because you have more people to teach. So these are the things that went into our mind in the beginning of this program. So my idea was I didn't want to cut players from the pool, get a big pool, and then cut players from the pool. I wanted to start with a solid 12, and if necessary, add. So I know there's been some controversy of whether we had a big enough pool or not. Again, if we had a big pool of big players, then we might take a look at doing something like that. But our pool for our big men is very small, and we lost one of those guys in AJ Edu, who would have been a key component on our team, being 6'11". He was our best player in the World Cup when we were here in Manila. So when we lost him, it was a big blow. But again, also when you get into the tournament, once you're into the tournament, you're locked into those 12. So if you have 5, 6, 7 injuries, then you're playing with 5 guys. You can't replace them at that point anymore. So we could not have, even if we had brought extra players, we could not have changed Kai during the tournament.
We also saw your triangle offense work really well against the European teams. Was that something you expected, or was that a pleasant surprise?
Kind of a little bit of both, I guess. I've been a practitioner of the triangle for 30 plus years. So I know the ability that it has. I know the ability it has to bring the players together. It's a great chemistry type of offense because there's a lot of ball movement. Everybody's sharing the ball. No one has an opportunity to be ball dominant. And so I think players generally, once they understand and they learn the triangle, they enjoy running it. But it is a little bit difficult. It is a little bit complex. I have to admit that. It takes a while to get into it and learn it. And that's something that we're still trying to do. I think the biggest problem with our triangle and this particular tournament is that not everybody's familiar with it. So when in the first chance of trouble, when there's, like we're starting to struggle, guys kind of take off and do their own thing or go back to what is natural in their own systems, which destroys the system of the triangle. And that was very evident during Brazil. When they took us out of our, got up and got real physical with it, and we started to panic a little bit, we really stopped executing it. And that's really the next level for this team, is during the bad times, during the down times, can we continue to still execute? And I think that's basically in life, and it's in business as well. When things are going bad, can you execute instead of trying to panic and change things on the fly? Can you stay to what you do? And I think with more familiarity, then these guys will get that message and learn to trust it a little bit more during the downtimes. Like I said, we're doing this for over 4 years. It's the old idea of keeping these guys together so they learn to do things like that they wouldn't if you constantly change and got a new team each tournament.
Well, Coach, I know you're very much well aware now of the limitations of your set of players in terms of how much time they can give to the Gilas program, as well as how and what it takes to train for a tournament such as FIBA. Professional players know that training for a long season in the PBA or in the NBA is different from training for FIBA. And given what we've seen and given your desire to have your players execute when the pressure is on, what are your asks and how do you think you'd want to adjust the training in order to develop those skill sets that you're looking for to perform with short turnarounds and short recovery periods in between games?
Oh, that's a really good question, Gretchen. It comes back to that issue again, at least pre-tournament. It comes back to that issue again. If you're going to get the players that you want and the best players in the country, and I think that's one of the things we proved in this tournament, that if you're going to perform, you need the best players in your country. If you're going to perform at a world stage, you can't bring a developmental team that's made up of college players or lesser pros and hope that they develop over time and get there, because you're just going to constantly be developing and you don't even know which players are really going to be your best players overall, 3 or 4 or 5 years from now. And I think that honestly, our country is too passionate in their basketball to wait 3 or 4 years for a team to mature and get better. They want production now. That's always been our mentality. And that's what we're trying to bring. We're trying to have a development team with younger players, the Kais, the Carls, the Kevins, the Masons, even Dwight's still a young guy. Those are the guys that are helping develop the team over a period of time. But we also have the veterans like Junmar and Justin himself, Newsom. Those guys are the guys that are the veteran players, and we're going to, they're going to help us win now. And I think there's got to be a balance there of development and winning now to basically to satisfy the powers that be. And the powers that be are the ones who support the program and the fans and the countrymen of that support the team. So I think there's two things that go on there. So for us to have the best team, best players, it really limits our preparation time. The finals of the last PBA conference finished 3 days before we started our preparation, and it was only 10 days of preparation for this particular tournament. So, if we had practiced a week or two before that, we would have been missing New and CJ and Jumar. And obviously, Jumar and New and CJ are irreplaceable. So, to me, this is really the only way. There's always going to be limitations, but this is the only way that I see personally, and that it's a vision that's been shared with Alp and Lilio and Erica D. That this is the way that we can find some success and still develop the team and reach that goal of getting to the LA Olympics through the World Cup.
Well, Coach, I think it's great what you're doing, having the best players in the country buy in to the system, having them invest not just in a year, but several years leading to the World Cup. And we do hope you'd be able to get a solid roster, a deep bench, and more time with those players. We'll let you rest for now. We do want more conversation time with you, but our time has run out. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Also, don't forget, 2 wins away from a Paris Olympics ticket. That's nothing to be ashamed
Nothing to
of,
scoff
right?
at. Yeah, we are very proud.
I know Coach Tim Cohn. He hates those moral wins.
That's a big disappointment. When you said 2 wins from the Bears, like I said, when we got there, we really wanted to win it.
All right, let's reframe it. You left 2 days later than you expected. So see, you've
Yes,
overshot
we
your own
did do
expectations
that.
already.
Took a longer trip to get home, too.
Well, Coach, we will wait another 3 more years, I think, till we see the best of this program happen. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Congratulations for a memorable FIBA OQT run. We have on the show tonight Coach Tim Cohn.
President Marcos has openly dared the fugitive Apollo Kibuloy to show up and face the music. Ria Fernandez-Obina has that story.
Bakit hindi? Bakit hindi? They want to help us bring a fugitive to justice.
That's President Bongbong Marcos' response to Pastor Apollo Kibuloy's camp after they questioned the Interior Department's acceptance of help from private individuals to complete the 10 million peso reward money for the pastor's arrest. Kibuloy is facing charges of child abuse and exploitation and human trafficking. His legal counsel, Attorney Ferdinand Topacio, first asserted that the reward should be taken from government funds and should not come from private individuals. Topacio added that the DILG needs to disclose who provided the reward money.
Dapat po malaman natin ang motibasyon ng mga taong yan kung bakit parang tinapauna nila yung warrant ni Pastor Kibuloy sa napakalaking pabuya when there are other persons accused of equally grave or even graver offenses na hindi naman ganyan kalaki ang pabuya.
But President Marcos doesn't see anything wrong with offering the reward.
He is a fugitive. He is hiding from the law. Now, if there are private citizens who want to assist the government in that effort to bring him to justice, I do not see what is any. So he can question their motives as much as they want.
With that, the president leaves this challenge for Kibuloy.
But magpakita siya. I question his motives. Let me question his motives. Bakit lagi kaming kine-question? Sinusundan lang namin ang batas. Sundin din niya ang batas.
Kibuloy's camp earlier stated that the pastor has no intention of surrendering as they believe the justice system in the country isn't functioning properly. Former President Rodrigo Duterte also previously said that he knows where Kibuloy is but chose to keep it a secret. The Justice Department has since issued a warning, reminding the public of their duty to cooperate with authorities, especially if they have information about a fugitive. Otherwise, they could be considered guilty of obstruction of justice. The PNP is also studying whether Duterte may have any liability in this matter. But according to former presidential spokesperson Attorney Salvador Panelo, the statement of former President Duterte is, quote, at best a joke for which he is known for, or pulling the leg of the inquiring reporter. For News 5, Ria Fernandez, We Are One News.
President Marcos was speaking at Rodriguez Rizal, where he led the impounding process ceremony of the Upper Wawa Dam. This ceremony follows the completion of the second component of the Wawa bulk water supply project worth 26.5 billion pesos. This means the Upper Wawa Dam is now partly operational. The dam will now be able to increase Metro Manila's water supply to around 80 million liters per day. But once it starts its full operations by end 2025, it will be able to supply up to 438 million liters of water daily. This will benefit up to 3.5 million Metro Manila residents within the service area of Manila Water. The president lauded the speedy development of the dam, which he described as an important step in ensuring water security in the capital.
It is commendable that it was completed with remarkable speed despite the COVID-19 pandemic, which slowed down the progress of projects and industries during the time that this was being built.
Right, so let's move on over to the topic of brief tenures. Newly installed Davao City Police Chief Colonel Lito Patay has been relieved just hours after assuming his post. Patay assumed his new role this morning at 8 a.m., but after around 4 hours, he reportedly received a call from Camp Crame telling him that he has been relieved. Patay was supposedly in the middle of a command conference with his new station commanders when he received the phone call. Patay was appointed Davao City Police Chief earlier this week after the removal of several officers of the Davao City Police, including its acting director, Rolindo Sugilon. Speaking to our sister program Storycon yesterday, ICC Assistant to Counsel Cristina Conti expressed concern over Patay's appointment, saying that Patay was one of the worst recorded violators during the war on drugs. Patay was a member of the so-called Davao Boys, a group of policemen who were brought to the capital to supposedly enforce the Duterte drug war. Patay will now be replaced by Police Colonel Hansel Marantan. Patay will be reassigned as Chief of Regional Operations Division of PRO 11. And just before we go, we've got our big soundbite from the president himself to go with our big picture last night. And here's
Lisa is their aunt. Dahil ang kanyang auntie ay napangasawa si Don Pepe na the eldest brother of Cory. So they are related. Kaya't hindi naman nakakapagtaka. Kilalang-kilala niya yung mga pamangkin niya. I think it was a very fine gesture on the part of the Aquino family. I think it was it sort of, I suppose, put a little more how do you say, personal, a human interaction between our families. We have always been okay. We just don't agree politically.
So yes, actually yesterday when we presented the photo from First
we were
Lady,
talking about why everyone is
I forgot to mention this one
all
big
buzz
fact.
about it.
Right. So actually the tita of First Lady, so the sister of First Lady Liza's mom, is actually married to a Cojuangco. Sari Cacho. So she is married to a Cojuangco who unfortunately has passed away maybe some 10, 12 years ago. So they are actually kind of related by marriage.
I'm sure there's a lot of linkages.
I demand a family tree.
Oh, it's all over the internet. It's not that hard to find.
But as he said, they have always gotten along. They just disagree politically, right? Famous quote from President Marcos about the Aquino.
It's a really good explanation. Actually, it explains everything. I mean, we do know that, yes, Ninoy was exiled by the administration, but we also know that the former President Marcos Sr. visited him a couple of times while he was in jail. And they actually are friends. If you're interested.
Friends, maybe.
They,
I don't know if there are.
well, neither of them are around to correct us.
But the point is, the president himself doesn't see much of a big deal over the sons of Chris Aquino visiting the
they
First
brought
Lady.
pasalubong because they
para
asked
sa kanya,
for help.
he was probably a bit surprised why all the media fuss around it.
Still that yellow dress though. Really, really a nice dress too. But that's it for the big story on this Wednesday night.
We are One News, all sides, all the time.
Thanks for tuning in. Have a good night.